Today's video is all about Blender. Blender, the blueprint for tomorrow. Secure, scalable access to computing resources via blockchain for research and development. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking at the team, the fundamentals, the overall value proposition, and ultimately, if it is bullish enough to make it to our portfolio for the up-and-coming bull run. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. And the question is Blender the opportunity? You know, we have a lot of good hot narratives coming up for this bull run, and of course the DePIN narrative is definitely one of them. The decentralized computing power narrative is definitely there for us to take full advantage of, and we've seen many good projects already run up with this narrative. And the question is Blender one of those that are going to catch up, or are they going to also run up with the rest of the market? So we're going to use the website as our main platform to navigate the project. If the website gives us everything we need to become fundamentally bullish, because of course, if you're fundamentally bullish, you're willing to be scaling in. You're going to be interested in buying those dips as the market gives us those opportunities. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the website. So far, so good. Decent graphics happening here. We have some documentation. We have developer programs, Intel, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. Click, click, click. Nothing really to be said here. Unfortunately, it would be really nice for the team to realize that we want to know what are these programs about. Of course, we could find some other areas of the website that offer us that information. So let's keep on scrolling through and see what we can find. Elevate your AI, rendering and simulations with Blender. Guys, this is a very hot topic, very, very hot narrative. You know, the machine learning narrative, this is where AI kind of falls into. The machine learning and the rendering, of course, requiring a significant amount of computing power, particularly GPU power, and simulations, of course, that requires a lot of intensive, processing. So this is where GPUs come in handy, and this is where the decentralization of the GPU processing power can definitely give Blender that edge, alongside many other projects that are doing the very similar thing. So what else do we have here? Blender offers high performance computing, centralized cost, and scalability limits. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at this a little bit more. Let's open this in a new tab, and we'll kind of get there after. Then we have decentralized the GPU computing mesh. This seems like to be some sort of technology that is native or proprietary to Blender. Blender's BCM effectively aggregates underutilized GPU resources across a global network. So what I'm getting from this is that, look, we have GPUs on our computers, we're taking a nap, we're going to bed, we're going to work, we're going to school, so on and so forth, and your GPU is being idle, just staying there, not doing anything. Let's get it to work. Let's share these resources that are not being utilized, or in this case underutilized, and put them to work where you can earn and provide, GPU power to the network, guys. And of course, you're going to get rewarded somehow for doing that. So pretty good. They have their own little system called a BCM happening, which is good, cool. And that's that. And you can see how they present it on the website. It's almost like they have their own little internal ecosystem of features that's gonna try to bring a unique value proposition, guys. Every company within, or every utility or software solution within this narrative is gonna have their own iteration of this type of technology. The question is Blender's better in this case, or more efficient? Blockchain enabling digital rights management, guys. This is quite interesting. Blender incorporates granular digital rights management through its DARL system. This leverages the immutability and the transparency of blockchain to offer on-chain traceability of digital assets, ensuring creators maintain control over their work and receive fair compensation. So this is one of the things that a lot of individuals in the last little while have been talking about, particularly with NFTs and so on, digital assets, non-fungible tokens. And in this case, what happens when they get duplicated and distributed? Is there a way to really, in a granular format, to figure out or to control or to track these assets? Is this what they are talking about here? And if that's the case, guys, that's super interesting. Definitely something to consider. Daro looking pretty good. So I like that value proposition for sure. Efficient resource allocation, dynamic task assignment. So again, this is something that a lot of the let's say projects within this narrative are doing a very similar thing, and they say, and they'll all have their own benefits and so on. Blender's algorithm dynamically allocates computing tasks among available GPU nodes. Of course, they're going to have their own proprietary way of doing this, minimizing waste, maximizing system throughput, and so on and so forth. So make sure you read that, and if you feel like it has a better system than other competition, that's great. But right now, what interests me the most is this right here. Okay, so because that's kind of unique as far as I'm concerned. Now, if we keep on going down, we have a coming soon section, Blender Box X1, which in my opinion, it's a computer. Okay, that's all it is. It's a computer that is going to be dedicated to providing resources to the network. Again, a cutting edge plug and play solution that allows users to host a Blender node at home, enhancing decentralized GPU networking and offering passive income. So this is going to be a GPU. I'm assuming you're going to plug it in, and it's going to specialize in basically providing the resources out of this GPU to the network. And that's about it. Right now, it's coming soon. There's no actual price, but you can see that in order to get involved and earn passively, and to really earn without trading or anything like that, and to farm coins or tokens in this case, you're going to have to basically invest. You're going to have to invest in a standalone piece of hardware. And for me personally, that is not the greatest thing. I personally don't really like this because there's a fixed cost here that you have to be able to absorb. And of course, your fundamental, bullishness needs to be super there in order for you to justify a fixed, cost, an asset to go and buy and then plug in. And of course, you're going to have to understand you're going to, have to invest in electricity costs and so on. So this is something that really I don't really appreciate. Now, if it was something where we can share our resources off of our own standalone computers when we're not using them, okay, I understand the value there. But here it's almost like a dedicated extra computer that you got to buy. And at this point, we don't know what's the cost of it. So Blender Box X1 is in the works. It's definitely in the pipelines. It could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. Imagine if this thing comes out very expensive. Like, how is that going to really work? Is it going to, bring down the price of Blender? And so on and so forth. So I'm not really interested with this this overall concept requiring people to buy specialized proprietary hardware in this case. Okay, so let's move on. Join our GPU sharing network and earn Blender tokens. So you can earn Blender tokens for powering, rendering, and computational tasks. That's basically what it is. And this is the overall platform and what you're going to see there, getting reward in Blender, and they have different pairs and so on, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Apple Pay, the way you can diversify and secure payment methods tailored to your convenience. Okay, so a lot of different ways of earning and tailoring that. That's pretty good. And you can see your GPU type allocation. Again, is this the only way to do it? You know what I mean? Or are we capable to allocate our own GPUs and our own let's say hardware in this case? MVP development roadmap. So the roadmap is here. I just feel that it's very vague. Okay, just very vague. Purpose, phase 1, when is phase 1, when does phase 1 end, phase 2, and so on. So scaled and decentralized, there's a little bit of everything here. I understand that, but timing and where we are in this timing is quite key. So a little bit more dynamics happening here. Central server technology feature. I don't like central server. What does that even mean in a decentralized environment? That central server kind of bothers me. Decentralized storage system. This is where we're getting to the next level. Token-based economy. Now, where are they talking about the actual token? Now, there is a dual token system happening here on Blender, which I am trying to really wrap my mind around on how they're gonna deploy this concept and get this working. And I think what it really has to do with the deployment of this machine right here, the Blender Box X1. And I'll tell you what I mean in a second. We'll go take a look at some of the documentation. It's very limited, but I have a feeling what the reward system that is going to be coming around when this gets released, it's going to be the secondary token that you're going to get rewarded in, not Blender, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so again, when there's when there's ambiguity and there's no clarity, it's very difficult, guys. So even the documentation and the white paper is even worse. The white paper is there's not much, barely any information there to get you, informed. You have the Telegram and X, which, Telegram is a difficult thing to get some clear answers sometimes. I try to get some answers on there. It was all right, but Discords are always great because you get bigger communities with a lot more individuals willing to help. In my experience, Discords are a little bit better, but again, let's see what else we got here. We have a contract. I'm curious what that is. Documentation. Let's see what that is. I think that we're going to get some good stuff out of there. What else? White paper, documentation, and stake you can start taking. That's the contract. That's the blender. What happens if we click that? Okay, Uniswap, Bitmart, Mexi, and Gate. So it's on some, mid-tier exchanges, more or less. And, there's some liquidity here because you got many of them. Like Bitmart's tiny, Mexi's okay, medium, Gate is small, and Uniswap, of course, decentralized exchange. That's that. If there's liquidity there in the pool, then you're good. If not, then you're in trouble. That's the whole concept behind the DEX. All right, let's move on. That's that. The website is pretty straightforward. I wish there was a little bit more here happening, but there's nothing really more to offer. So let's jump right into some of this other stuff that I kind of opened up. So this is the document section where we can kind of scroll around. Blender's network. It's a peer-to-peer rendering and computational network. Okay, that's that. It's easy. They identify an executive summary here and a little bit about the industry and how it's growing and the projections of the potential growth. Guys, we're fairly aware, unless if you've been hiding under a rock, that AI and machine learning and graphic rendering and all this type of GPU related industry is super, super hot right now. And given the shortage of GPUs and all of that, guys, we do really understand that this could be one of the hottest narratives in the next few years. So it's not bad of a narrative, definitely. Now the question is, are they going to be taken seriously throughout the market? Let's keep on going down. Let's find another one. Okay, so we have a problem. That's a great way. I can tell that this was created by a couple of developers thinking about how they're going to sell this idea, and they have a solution to a problem. That's perfect. That's exactly what software solution companies look for. Resource competition and availability constraints. Of course, we know that high power GPU resources are difficult to come across. Again, expensive. The costs allow a lot of barriers to entry to be able to pick up some of these graphics card shortages of power, computational power. We know that the world is hungry for AI GPU multi-core processing, because at the end of the day, we know that machine learning requires that type of architecture out of a processor. So it's definitely in demand. Underutilization of resources could be a concept here to realize that there's an opportunity, because again, we're not using our resources of 24 hours a day, and it could be where we can put them to work and earn from our hardware while it's not in use. However, guys, that standalone GPU, I forget what it's called, but the thing that we talked about earlier, this thing right here, this machine, I'm like, is this an absolute requirement, or is it that we're going to be given an option to buy the standalone machine? Opportunity, compact, powerful. It's our gateway to advanced rendering and AI computing. Are you going to earn more by getting involved with this instead of doing your own? So this is a level where I wish I understood a little bit more. And again, there's not much details with regards to that. Decentralized GPU resource and pooling. This is their solution. We're going to pool all the resources together and have them available in some sort of marketplace system where individuals can rent out or use those resources. Dynamic resource allocation. Exactly what I'm saying. Tokenized incentive structure. The tokens aspect of things is a dual system here that I'm getting, and I feel like a part of it or one of the tokens are not yet released, or maybe I'm being confused by this, right? Enhanced accessibility of affordability. Okay, fine. Of course, we know that GPUs and getting your hands on those are expensive. So basically, this project is trying to solve a problem. Okay, let's move on. We talked about this, the BCM, the Blender chain, which is going to be a specialized blockchain. This is where things start to throw a curveball at me, because technically speaking, in the past, I've never seen a project really do super well when they have a dual system, two basically into two ecosystems, number one, and number two, a native token and a non-native token, and trying to balance out an architecture of some sort, and finding a good use case for both of them, and confusing individuals on how they work, and so on. I like simple mechanisms. Now, it could be a simple mechanism, but for me, I don't know exactly what the function is behind the second one. So core components of the Blender chain. So this is a chain in itself. I am all about the chain. I think that at this case, why not have your own chain? I agree with that. With that being said, they're going to have their own token, and at this case, we don't know what it is. And at this current moment, let me just go here quickly. It is an Ethereum based token. Okay, so we're not talking about its own chain right now. We're talking about an Ethereum-based token, which is the Blender token. So this is the thing. Are they going to eventually come up with their own chain and get everything on their own chain, customizable, blockchain to basically run a little bit better? We know that Ethereum has its issues. Now, are they ready to move on? That's the thing. That is what it takes to get Blender to the next level. So decentralized network structure, smart contract execution, GPU resource tokenization. This is what this new, or this Blender chain is going to basically have. How Blender chain works, again, resource listing, matching, automated task execution, a lot of good features that are definitely going to be tailored towards the whole utility and value proposition behind the Blender network. So when is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? So far, I'm not even too sure if it even exists, right? So that's the thing. Now we go right into the Blender token itself. The token that I'm referring to today on this deep dive to actually see if it's worth buying and scaling into is this right here, Blender, the Blender token, functioning as an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain. So just keep in mind, it's a token, and it is basically going to adhere to the Ethereum blockchain protocols. It's primarily utilized for purchasing computational power within Blender ecosystem. So what else is it? Okay, so purchasing of GPU power, market transactions, services, access, operational efficiency, and staking and liquidity. All very typical things. And if you look at the details, like, this is not a unique value proposition for a token. The utility here is on point with many competitors on what is out there in the space. So you're going to notice that a lot of tokens are going to be very similar, right? The creativity is over. We've peaked where how we could use these tokens, and so far so good. This is typical industry standard, so it's a positive thing in many cases. Now, again, the level of ambiguity. Now we start to go look at BME native token. What does that even mean? Now, we talk about having two distinct tokens. Remember, two distinct tokens. This is where I kind of like shy away, and it kind of bothers me. I would say that it would be beneficial to maybe take all of it on their own network and forget the ERC20, but one has the Blender chain native token, likely for an internal network, likely for, the key word is likely, so ambiguity. Is it likely? Is it or is it not? For internal network operations and incentives, and the other as an ERC20 Blender token for marketplace transactions, and so on and so forth. So this means that the general market are not really clear of which one they should be buying. Now, of course, yeah, it is their responsibility to do research and figure out what the utility is of each token, but that's not what you really want. You want to have something that is super easy. You want to get involved. There's one token and move on. Now, what is the purpose? Now, they do justify it, but I think that it's not a viable reason to have two. So here's why this dual token structure can be beneficial. Right? So can it be? Yeah, it could be, but does it have to be? Probably not. You could probably come up with a better architecture just to keep on the Blender chain alone. Now, we don't even know what the ticker is of this new token. Is it going to be BME? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, because BME stands for what does it stand for? I know it's here somewhere. It's something to do with the burning. I saw it here before. If I come across it, I'll make it known to you. Serves as a backbone for internal operations, including compensating GPU providers. So it seems like the main purpose of this new token, of this new native token, is to reward individuals that are providing GPU power. essentially. And that's the token that might have value over time. Facilitates the burn and mint equilibrium. That's the word that I'm looking for. Burn, mint, equilibrium, BME. Is that BME is also going to be the name of the token? I find like that's kind of weird, but again, I'm not sure, because usually when you refer to a ticker, you put a dollar sign in the front like they did with Blender. But again, ambiguity, I'm not sure. Mechanisms maintain economic stability within the network. So there is going to be some sort of burning mechanism for this native token. So we'll refer to it as native token for now. And there is going to be some sort of burning mechanism to keep equilibrium, which is good. Governance and voting, staking and security. This is what this native token is going to offer you the ability. Now, the ERC20, some of them, marketplace transactions. What else do we have? Interoperability within DeFi platforms, which kind of makes sense because if you are an ERC20, you basically have access to all EVM compatible chains, which is obviously useful. But maybe we can get this new Blender chain EVM compatible as well, and that satisfies the that's also a solution, right? So that's that, or have a bridge. I know bridges are a choke point at some points, a point of vulnerability, but there are solutions right now, given the fact that the one of the hottest narratives right now are cross-chain, multi-chain type of network. So rational for dual token structure, specialization and efficiency. If you come up with your own network, that's basically what you have. And we're seeing even some modular basically structures come out lately that give you even more control over the way your blockchain functions. And then obviously the ERC20 seamless marketplace transactions and exchanges amongst EVM compatible chains. I feel like that's what they're trying to go for here. Risk management and flexible growth. Honestly, to be honest, these 3 points are not enough of a rationale for me. Okay, that's just my opinion. Obviously, guys, not financial advice, but this whole thing, this whole concept here is where I feel there's a bit of a weakness. Okay, just a bit. What I'm bullish on is this. I like this idea. This is something that, if they can, spearhead this and get this done properly, which is the digital asset rights ledger, a way of basically keeping track of digital assets at a very granular level, which is great. And it could be something that maybe the market is really hungry for. So something cool right here. Do that research if you want to look into that more. And then the rest of it is starts to get into a little bit of, computation. What's going to be happening for the reward mechanism, the tokens staking, non-GPU holders, blah, blah, blah. You get a lot of voting power, lots of good little technical aspects here along the way to kind of incentive mechanism and burning equilibrium. If you want to go through this from a very, very technical level, guys, there's a lot of information here for sure, but I think we've covered the major concepts. All right, let's get back to the website. Let's kind of go back to home base again here. We kind of understand what's going on here. We have this graphics card scenario, and again, how is this play into the ecosystem? I would love to know a little bit more, and the roadmap is not up to par for me, so I don't see any much more here. Let's go here. We came from here. That's cool. This is a duplicate, so we can see we're getting a little bit of duplication happening. So this is another duplicate. Let me remove this. And now I went on the white papers real quick, and the white paper is poorly formatted. Honestly, it's a little bit, I honestly prefer the documents, the working document there that we were going on, which is a lot better. It's a lot more let's say modular, or even dynamic. The developers can go in there and update it at will. This PDF is basically hard stamped, and it can't be fixed or updated very easily, and you can see the formatting is all over the place. It's very amateur and not enough information, and to be honest, I would have appreciated a little bit more with regards to tokenomics, just a little bit. So let's hunt for some of that. I'm going to move on here. See if we can find some tokenomics, like what's going on with the overall distribution and stuff. So I think what's best here is to go and look at CoinGecko for a second, and this could be the reason why. The reason why is that our max supply is at about 42 million units, and you can see the circulating supply is pretty much there. This thing is fully diluted already. Which means that from a tokenomics perspective, you're not worried about the market, or you're not worried about dilution. You're not worried about basically tokens hitting the market and diluting your bags, which is obviously something very, very healthy. And given the fact that there could be a burning mechanism, but keep this in mind, that burning mechanism only is part of this new token, this new native token. It's not part of the Blender token. So if we go back here, you can, let's see if we got the burning mechanism. The was right here, the BME only goes to the native token, not Blender. So it doesn't seem like Blender is going to have any type of burning mechanism to make it basically deflationary, or to put a bit of pressure on price to go up over time as the supply decreases, right? So nothing like that really happening, but at least we know there are no more tokens for the most part entering the market, right? So there's a bit of a discrepancy, a very small amount. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because it could be locked up somewhere in liquidity or something. I'm not even too sure. Sometimes even CoinGecko is not accurate, but it's negligible at this point, right? So let's move on. Market cap is at about 93. I'm just gonna throw this out there. When I did do the deep dive and I prepared all my infographics and all of that, the price was a little lower. So we're just gonna keep in mind that yes, it's been on a nice little uptrend for the last little while, recuperating from a decent dip. And we'll talk about the price action in a second. Let's just keep on going down and see what else we got here to offer. Again, trading volume is very, very decent in the last little while. Circulating supply, of course, the fully diluted price right now is $95 million, which is still very small, guys. This is a small project. It's not a micro cap, no, but it is small, leading into that micro cap territory. So there is a lot of potential here. There is definitely a lot of potential now for growth. Now, tech-wise, guys, you know, you got to make their decisions based on some of the things that we're covering here today. We have Uniswap, liquidity, and MEXC has 45% of the volume right now. Bitmart, Gate, and CoinEx definitely there, but not much volume. Bitmart is definitely getting a bit more. So the majority of the volume is coming out of MEXC, Bitmart, and Uniswap, which MEXC is holding the majority of the liquidity in volume at this current moment. If you want to be buying and selling and have an active community, MEXC is where it's at right now for this project, for this token. What else do we got here? Let's take a look at the wallet distribution for a second, because especially when you see fully diluted and you see all these circulating, all the max supplies in circulation, you start to wonder, well, are there any whales holding the majority of the bag? So most of the times what we'll see is the top wallets. That's the most concern. Now let's look at the token holder charts as well. Let's get that open. But you can see the first one is MEXC. That's a liquidity pool on MEXC. MEXC needs a bit of liquidity to, you know, be able to allow users to buy and sell. And then we have the contract holding a bit, 4%, maybe a little bit more here, another 1%. So this belongs to the team or something like that, where they need some liquidity, which is not a lot. So I'm not super concerned. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But then right away, once we get to lower levels, we start to see a bit of a distribution happening. You see a lot of wallets, different wallets all over the place. And you see Uniswap even has a bit of liquidity, a little bit. And Sablier, I don't know what that is, lockup dynamics, MEXC more locked up. But you can see that generally after that, there's a lot of distribution, which means that it's very decentralized. The liquidity, the tokens out there, the wallets are well distributed. So, which is healthy. You can see that, right? A lot of the bigger ones are these ones, which we covered already, the MEXC and the other pools that you got here that are holding some of the tokens. Not bad here. No real concern of a rug pull. Yes, I do see something quite interesting. Like if you look at all these numbers, they're all the same, even. Is that a bit of an issue? It could be. Like these could be a one owner, right? It could be. And this right here, look at all the how even these are. It could be one owner, no doubt. And if you add them up, so what? It comes out to up 10%. Yeah, it adds up. And maybe, you know, this is where you start to be private investigator and you start to figure, like, is this manipulated? It could be, it couldn't. It does look well distributed, and this is all we could really go for at this current moment. So pretty good, nonetheless, pretty good. All right, let's jump right back. Let's get back to the website. Let's see what else we got. Did we miss anything? We talked about this. What's the staking aspect here? You can stake and unstake and earn passive income here. I'm sure they're offering you healthy APY. Be very careful with that concept, guys. A lot of people did get burnt in the past with those APY numbers being very high and enticing, and you don't want to be one of those guys to one of those people that are generally just going to be looking or hunting for that very extreme, too good to be true APY. All right, so let's move on. We have that. We did looked at the token, the wallet distribution. Let's look at their socials for a second, guys. You know, the socials are okay. You have the 20K followers. They only follow 19, so you know they're not doing that follow back or type of thing. strategy. They are posting some things. They are staking now is live and so on. Blender APYs 14%, 18%, 10%, very healthy APYs regardless. And then the Blender box, and basically saying get involved and so on and so forth within the thread. This okay, fine, and that's it. Pretty much a lot of repetition about the box there that they got going on, the GPU box, and a little bit more stuff here. Blender. Sure, a lot of good graphics. I like their overall marketing strategy here and their graphical representations of everything. Looks pretty good. Machine learning with Blender, of course, those are buzzwords. Those are great. Mechanics, basics of mechanics. Okay, good stuff. What else do we have here? All right, guys, you guys know that I create those infographics for you guys when I do these deep dives, just to kind of summarize what we've been talking about in the last bit. The ecosystem, limited to native ecosystem, limited ecosystem development. I don't see any indication that the team is building an ecosystem. It's all internal. Yes, good value, good features, good things happening there within its own ecosystem, but in any third party or any type of ecosystem growth is not really that evident. Unfortunately, it is still young. Let's keep it that way. But I like to see ecosystem growth, because the bigger the ecosystem, the better the utility of the token. And of course, as an ERC20, they're already part of an ecosystem, which is the Ethereum based ecosystem. So this is the thing, are they interested in even creating their own ecosystem, or are they just want to be a part of the Ethereum ecosystem? Now, we do know that they want to come up with their own chain, and it seems like that's what's in the works. I'm not sure where that is in the process of things right now, but that would give them the incentive, or that would give them the option to start developing their own ecosystem from a third party perspective. A utility right now is very typical, which is healthy. Purchasing GPU power, marketing transactions, market transactions, service access, staking and liquidity, operational efficiency, all these good things with the Blender token. However, guys, there is ambiguity there with this native token concept that is not really ironed out, and a lot of words being used that don't show certainty. Maybes and perhaps, these things kind of like don't really give me any sense of security as to what the second token is going to be and how it's going to play into the grand scheme of things. So a little bit of ambiguity, 9 out of 10 from there. Roadmap, it's a 50-50, guys. You saw that roadmap. It's not really a decent official roadmap. It's just a bunch of things that they want to get done, but no time, no real schedule. It's a 50-50 shot for me as to where they are in the pipeline and so on and so forth. So the Blender box X1 is coming soon. That's all we got, and some updates via X. And guys, that's not a very decent way to keep your community up to speed with what's happening. Where are the efforts being placed and all the resources being placed? And that ambiguity doesn't tell me where the future value is going to be in the project. So tell me where you're going with things, and then maybe I'll agree, and maybe I'll be a lot more bullish in the short term. 5 out of 10 with that regards. We want complete transparency, and take us along the journey, right? That's the way I look at it. The team not doxed, and the sentiment of the Telegram suggests that this is criticized by many. Guys, I went on the Telegram, asked some questions and so on, and the first thing that came popped up when I spoke about and asked about the team is that this is a common thing. People are wanting to know who's behind the project, and when we don't know who's behind the project, again, more ambiguity, more uncertainty, and who's being held accountable, who's calling the shots here. Now, I know decentralization, and I get fully diluted. I guess all the tokens are in distribution in wallets and so on, and there's voting and so on and so forth. Apparently it's supposed to happen or already happening, which I don't think it's already happening. I think they're waiting for their native token to come around in order for this voting process to come around. So this is super early, and unfortunately when the team is not there, we don't have that assurance. Maybe they do come out with a few AMAs. I don't know. I couldn't find any. I'm not saying it's not possible, but what I am saying, they need to make themselves present, and they need to be forward about it. They should have LinkedIn accounts and basic profiles on their website, and they're not there, right? So you can see that. So not really docs, not really anything happening there. They got some a presence on X, but that's about it. Socials, they're doing pretty good given the fact that the market in the last little while has been coming down. Their socials are keeping up with the down pressure, which means that what are they doing about it? 60 posts for the last 30 days, holding strong. They're actually posting a little bit more aggressively than usual, which is actually in tune with what they should be doing when the market is coming down. So they have 20,000 followers more or less. They've been growing and doing well considering their size. They're doing decent. However, their followers for the last 30 days are down. It's definitely coming down bit by bit. They're still growing, however, not at the same pace as previous months, which leads me to believe that ultimately as soon as we see the market turn around, we should see a spike in followers, which could be happening as we speak. We've been seeing some green price action in the last little while, not only on Blender but in the market. Maybe the market is looking for a reversal, and this is what it's all about. Maybe we can use socials as an opportunity to also gauge where we are in the short term so that we can find undervalued scenarios. Tokenomics 10 out of 10, guys, almost fully distributed, the full distribution, all of them are out there. And the wallets are, tokens are distributed amongst many wallets. No whales holding the majority. I kind of like that from a tokenomics perspective. So 10 out of 10 for me. Partnerships, no strategic partnerships present. However, developer program with Microsoft, Nvidia is definitely an Intel, but no details with regards to that. Usually when we refer to developer programs, we refer to the support these companies are going to give to train developers within the ecosystem, within the, is it a native language? What kind of partnership, what kind of relationship is this, right? A bit more detail there. Although those are definitely heavyweight names. We know that Microsoft, Intel, Nvidia, big names. What is that about? That all I see is logos, unfortunately, and not a strategic partnership. They're just there for developer programs. And again, what does that really mean? Okay, so strategic partnerships are involved, and they work in a very symbiotic way. They help each other out to scaffold each other to the next level. I guarantee you Microsoft is not here to be scaffolded by a Blender. Okay, so this is where it's not necessarily a partnership, it's a relationship. Healthy one for that matter, if we could get more detail. Exchanges, Maxi, Bitmart, Uniswap, Gate, Coin, a few. But guys, we got to be real here, is that a lot of these exchanges are tiny, right? And Maxi, okay, being an up and coming, is definitely out there with a lot of volume, as we saw there on CoinGecko. The reality is that we want a major listing. We want a major exchange to list so that we can get some volume, some hype, some interest. Okay, so definitely an opportunity if you want to look at it from that front. But right now, liquidity is limited, and it's limited to small exchanges, which means that you could basically find a bit of trouble buying and selling at will whenever you want to get access to that liquidity, because there's not much out there, right? So we want bigger exchanges to have better and more liquidity. All right, so let's move on. Tokenomics and some of the things here, guys. Looking pretty. The price did go up in the last 24 hours, guys. Unfortunately, my pricing is not accurate. I get it. I created this, literally within 24 hours, this thing started running up in price action. We'll talk about the price action in a second, but overall, guys, decent across the board. All these numbers, volume is not bad. I wish a little bit more, but it's still okay. And the supply, as far as fully dilution, is definitely really good. And then we go back to some of the things, my verdict, guys. So it is definitely part of a DPIN narrative, okay? DPIN, decentralized GPU processing power type of thing, and it's a hot narrative. We've seen many projects do very well. It's in line with industry needs in AI, gaming, and machine learning, and all of that good stuff that we've been talking about for about a year now. The market has been buzzing about all of this, so it could be a good player and maybe an up and coming project to watch out for. Dual coin system, I don't really I'm not really crazy about a dual coin system. The native token network incentives, governance, staking, and security, that's what this native token is going to be used for. And unfortunately, guys, whenever I've seen these dual systems, if they're not clear and they are not that necessary, they usually are a negative, right? They're not a positive. So let's see what happens here with this dual token system. I would love more information, and of course they're probably going to come up with more when that hardware comes out, so that because I have a feeling that they're going to reward individuals via that token. Dual system adds complexity and confusion at this point, in my opinion. Hardware investment required, guys. That's a fixed cost. That's something that you're going to have to commit to. And as far as liquidity goes, if you buy hardware, you're not liquid. That basically ties up your capital. And for a lot of individuals, particularly traders such as myself, I want my liquidity. I want to be able to buy and sell, get in and get out. Now, if you have a long-term vision and you're fundamentally bullish for the future, and you think that this project has what it takes, I understand why you would want to invest in a fixed cost. And in that case, yes, all the power to you. Do your thing, research it, buy it, do what you got to do and farm those tokens. But however, personally speaking, I've never appreciated that. And again, that's not financial advice. That's just my opinion. No team information out there, guys. Unfortunately, who's behind it? I'm not going to be a private investigator. I shouldn't have to be a private investigator to figure out who's behind the project. Guys, we've seen a lot of projects fail, and then we start to look for who's behind it, and it's too late, right? It's too late. We really should be a little bit more transparent as who's behind the team, regardless of decentralization or not. Think about that fact that no matter which project you're in, there's a degree of decentralization. No project is 100% decentralized unless you're Bitcoin or in a few others. But the reality is, if you're in a smart contract platform, there's a level of centralization, especially proof of stake. And in that case, you start to worry, right? You start to worry. So transparency, please, needs to happen at all times, especially for these new projects that you rely on fundamentals. So Blender with the market cap of Render, wouldn't that be ideal to look at one of the hottest projects in this bull rally and to compare them? The reality is, in order to just keep up or to catch up to Render at this current state, it's going to have to do a 40x. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that is the target. That's where Blender wants. That's basically where Blender wants to go. It wants to get to the state of Render, and it wants to flip it. And if it does, it's going to get to about $75, guys. That's an ambitious target. And not only Render in itself, but from a price action perspective, that is super ambitious. We're talking about a 40x. Okay, possible, no doubt. Hot narrative, good competition, perhaps here to Render. Price target, $50. If it gets there, guys, I would be super happy with that. And I would be willing to take some profit off the table and de-risk my position at that level 100%. But again, guys, it's all about where Blender wants to go. And if Blender gets there, given, you know, their efforts, I could see them reaching at least $50. However, guys, do the fundamentals have what it takes? I'm not crazy about some of the fundamentals. Some of the things that it's got going on here has a lot of ambiguity. For me personally, I rank it 6 out of 10. But however, guys, a lot of these things that I've ranked Blender on is because it's new. So without risk, again, you're getting into a riskier project. There's very little reward. You need risk in order to get high reward. Is this risky enough for you to make some high rewards? Definitely, right? However, guys, with risk, you have to control it. You have to be able to mitigate that risk using a strategy. And the strategy that I use is position size. Don't be buying a lot, because you never know what happens here with this project. However, guys, a little can go a long way, because again, a little on 40x could be a great gainer. Guys, let's take a look at the price action. I know you're here to talk about price action, so let's do that as well. Let's take a look at the Blender price. Right now, Blender's getting a nice pop to the upside. Really nice. In the last 24 hours, we got a nice green candle. And guys, this is new, very new, very limited price action, very limited data here on the daily. But what can we do? This is what we got. We got to plan it out, and don't be buying these green candles, because you got to be prepared for volatility along the way. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Really, the daily is very difficult, guys. The daily, in fact, is not giving us much data. You know, we came down significantly in the last little while. We got a nice bounce off the point of control. Really, this is our first real bottom, because even this is not really, I wouldn't really count that. And we're our first bottom. Is that it? Right? We have to get into lower time frames. The problem with lower time frames, it's hard to get to a mindset of bigger time frames. It's hard to actually see where this thing's going to go, because we don't have any price action looking left from previous days, right? Like, all we really have is this top right here, which we can put a horizontal in. Okay, great. That's your first area of resistance. And I can imagine that a lot of people would be de-risking at this level. If we jumped all the way back to about $4.45, we would definitely see some people in the market take a bit of profit. Why? Because that could be the area where we get rejected once again. From a risk to reward ratio opportunity, we understand that if you bought the bottom and you're going to trail it all the way up to the top, you know that at this level you're on some good gains. What kind of gains are we talking about? From bottom, let's say, to top of the range at this current state, 147%. So you're knowing that there's some people in some good gains. Now, what are you going to do at this current level? You can see that we're lifting off here on the daily. Entries are not the best, because risk to reward ratio is slowly diminishing. And we can look at what I mean, and we can kind of keep this at the forefront of our conversation here. Let's say we get in right now, and our reward needs to be taken right around here. Let's not, you know, get it to the wicks. Let's be a little bit modest, just in case. We don't want to be greedy about things, because then you don't get to exit properly, and you're going to put your stop loss underneath here, excluding that wick, and that's still in itself quite risky. Now look at your risk to reward ratio. Your ratio right now is not the healthiest, to be honest. Like, it would be nice for it to be a little bit better, and you can see once you reach this level, you're at a almost 2 to 1, almost, not even 2 to 1, 1.8, and I'm not really crazy about it. Now, if we do come down for a bit of a back test in the short term and we come down to the bottom of the range, yes, we start to get into a better risk to reward ratio opportunity, 3 to 1, right? You're still sacrificing a potential 28% at this level with the benefit of getting almost double your money, with getting 100%, which means that you could take half on the double, take your initial investment off the table, and let the rest run, the house money run, which is very, very healthy. Now let's get onto the 4 hour here for a second, because really there's not much data that we can go by. You can see all we're doing is making our first bottom. Now what about if we make a dead cat bounce and come down and make another lower low? It could happen here, guys. The trend right now, as we see it, is still lower lows and lower highs. Right now we could come down again. Now we need a bit of a change of character of the structure. We need at least one higher high. The problem is with that is that which higher high are we talking about? This higher high, or this high, or this high, or this high, or up here? Where are we going with this high to confirm the trend reversal? Really, that's why I don't like this price action at the current moment, because there's lots of ambiguity. I would expect a nice W so that we can confirm a nice clear high. And then we can start building a structure into here where we can, have a setup where we can put our invalidation with a little bit more security. All we have is one bottom right here, and we have to exclude this because this is a mess. This is not very trustworthy. Okay, so all we have is this nice rounded bottom, and that's all we really have if you think about it. Okay, so there's risk here getting into a long position. Obviously, if you got in at the bottom, you're, as a risk to reward, you're going to be compensated for the risk you took. But then again, if you get in right now based on some FOMO, guys, it's likely that you start to become exit liquidity. Now, we do have a bit of a volume gap right into here, which I don't like. You guys know that I try to avoid volume gap rejections, and this is an empty space that starts to look weak. There's a bit of a consolidation in between that did spike the volume a little bit, but really this is the weakest spot currently on the chart besides this one. So what this means that if we break above $2.51, it's likely that we blast right through and we hit about $3. So I'm going to identify that as a weak spot in the charts, but the question is, did we pick it up enough bullish bids at lower levels to actually have the strength to break right through this? It doesn't always happen, but we should be prepared for that scenario, that this level becomes a weak spot, okay, and that we break right through it. You can see that there's a bit of confluence here. We have the bottoms and we have these tops, and we have an empty spot of price action. Now I'm expecting a bit of a reaction here, to be honest. I would be prepared for a rejection, a confirmation low, a higher low right here, and that would be my second opportunity to get in. And as far as a breakout trade goes, yeah, you might look at this as, maybe an Adam and Eve pattern, this nice V recovery, which is not even it is a V recovery, too quick of a recovery for that matter, but maybe an Adam and Eve with the neckline. We break the neckline as a breakout trade. You're coming up to this around this consolidation where I would be taking profit again, and it's at the bottom of the volume gap where you start to get defensive. So you can see that overall, whether we break out or come down, you should be prepared. Right now, it's a breakout trade. Right, this at this level on the 4 hour, we're talking about a breakout trade. We want to break above this horizontal resistance to break right through the volume gap and eventually hit our price target of $3. Risk to reward from that perspective is not healthy at this moment. Look at that. It's a 50-50 shot. You get in right now, you put your stop loss underneath here, your reward from the 4 hour perspective, not big picture, the daily, I'm talking about 4 hour, you got to get out right here. Look at the risk to reward. It's trash. It's not worth it. Look at that. It's not even a 1-to-1. You're taking more risk than you are reward, right? So now from a big picture, based on the daily, it could look really good, but the daily is not giving us any indication of a reversal at this current moment, right? We're getting divergence, but on the 4 hour, clearly, almost, we're already overbought for that matter. We're seeing a nice trend reversal on the trend oscillator. Sorry guys, let me get this down. You can see that beautiful EMA's facing up, green histogram bars to the upside on the 4 hour. What about if we get a rejection any moment now? And that's the problem. That's the issue, right, with the current with a breakout trade, is that you're always buying tops, local tops. Now back to the daily, different story. The daily is just beginning. In fact, we could say that there's not enough data here to be totally convicted. So let's build more data. If you really want to get in with a decent position, let it come down, form a bottom, give us some confirmation lows, fundamentals, and then we can get in with a bit of confidence. Guys, if I've offered you any value in the video, do the channel a massive favor and slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.